Hey, if you're a gay man who's single by choice, not because you can't find anyone, but because you're tired, I get it. Tired of the endless swiping. Tired of conversations that feel like product reviews. Tired of being reduced to a body type, a role, a position, a photo. Tired of hookup culture feeling less like freedom and more like a treadmill you can't get off of. And maybe you've started thinking, if this is what dating looks like, I'd rather not. If that's you, I'm not here to shame you back into the scene. I'm not here to tell you to put yourself out there like you're a resume. I'm here to tell you the truth. 6 radical truths, so you can stop doubting your choice, start trusting yourself again, and build a life that actually feels like yours. Truth number 1, opting out doesn't mean you failed. It means you noticed what was costing you. A lot of people talk about being single like it's a problem to solve, but some of you didn't end up single. You chose it. And that matters, because choosing to step away from something that drains you is not weakness. It's awareness. If the dating scene makes you feel anxious, disposable, or constantly evaluated, it makes sense that your system finally said, no more. Not forever, not dramatically, just enough. Here's the radical part. Your exhaustion is information. It's telling you what doesn't work for you. It's telling you what your body can't pretend is normal anymore. It's telling you where you've been tolerating things that don't match your values. So if you've been privately wondering, what's wrong with me? Let me offer you a different question. What if nothing is wrong with you, and something is right about your refusal to keep participating? Truth number 2, a lot of what people call connection is actually performance. Let's say it plainly. The toxic part of dating isn't always the sex. The toxic part is the audition. The feeling that you have to be hot enough, smooth enough, chill enough, masculine enough, interesting enough, without being too much. So you learn to present a version of yourself that gets picked. But being chosen for your performance doesn't feel like being loved. It feels like being rented. And the more you do it, the more confusing it gets. Because you start asking, do they like me? Or do they like the character I've learned to play? Here's the radical truth. If you keep having to minimize yourself to be wanted, your body will eventually reject the whole system. That's not you being avoidant. That's you getting honest. Real connection requires you to be seen. And being seen requires you to stop performing long enough to actually show up as a person. So if you've stepped away because you're tired of performing, good. That's your integrity coming back online. Truth number 3, hookups aren't the enemy, but if you're using them to avoid feeling, they will quietly hollow you out. I want to be careful here, because sex isn't evil. Pleasure isn't the problem. Casual can be consensual, respectful, and genuinely fun. But let's talk about what many men experience and don't say out loud. Sometimes hookups become a way to regulate your emotions. Lonely? Hook up. Stressed? Hook up. Feeling unwanted? Hook up. Bored? Hook up. Need proof you're still desirable? Hook up. And then afterward, you're lying there thinking, why do I feel worse? Because being wanted isn't the same as being held. A body can be touched without the person being met. A night can be full without being nourishing. If you're single by choice because you're tired of sex feeling like fast food, here's the radical truth. You're not overreacting, you're developing taste. You're realizing you want experiences that leave you feeling more you, not less. You're wanting intimacy that includes care, attunement, and consistency, not just chemistry. And if that's what you want, you may need to tolerate the discomfort of not numbing out. There's a brave kind of sobriety, not from sex, but from the cycle of chasing a moment to avoid a feeling. Truth number 4. Many gay men were taught to confuse being desirable with being safe. This one is huge. A lot of us grew up scanning for safety. Who can I be myself around? Who will mock me? Who will reject me? Who is dangerous? And when you grow up like that, your brain can develop a shortcut. If I'm desirable, I'm safer. Because being wanted can feel like protection, like proof you're allowed to exist. So the dating scene becomes more than dating. It becomes a marketplace of worth. And shallow standards hit harder because they don't just feel rude. They feel like your survival is being graded. Here's the radical truth. Your worth is not a crowdsourced rating. Your value isn't determined by a stranger's preferences, a tribe's aesthetics, or an app's attention. If you are exhausted by standards that feel impossible, maybe the deeper issue isn't the standards. Maybe it's that you've been trying to use approval to create security. And here's the shift. Security is built. It's not granted. You build it through friendships that don't flinch at your honesty, through routines that steady you, through choosing people who choose you back, consistently, not occasionally. Truth number 5. If you don't build real community, single by choice can turn into alone by default. This is where a lot of men get stuck. They leave the dating scene because it's toxic, and then they end up isolated because they didn't replace it with anything nourishing. And isolation has a way of rewriting history. It can make you think, maybe that toxicity wasn't so bad. Not because it was good, but because loneliness is loud. So here's the radical truth. You don't need a boyfriend to have intimacy. You need people. You need a friend who knows the real story of your life. You need routines that include other humans. You need connection you can count on. And if you're disgusted by what you see in parts of the community, I want to say something gently but directly. You are allowed to stop waiting for the community you wish to exist and start becoming it. Be the guy who invites people over. Be the guy who texts first. Be the guy who follows through. Be the guy who makes plans that aren't centered around drinking, sex, or status. Because the opposite of a toxic scene isn't no scene. It's a healthier one, and it starts smaller than you think. Truth number 6. The life you want can't be postponed until love shows up. This is the trap. I'll travel when I'm partnered. I'll host dinners when I have someone. I'll feel confident when someone chooses me. I'll be fully myself once I'm loved. But if you're single by choice, there's a reason. You're no longer willing to hand your life to the dating market and hope it hands it back. So here's the radical truth. Your life is not the waiting room for a relationship. If love comes, it should enter a life that already has momentum, not a life that's been paused. So ask yourself this. What kind of life would I be proud to live even if I stayed single for the next 2 years? What would make my days feel meaningful? What would make me feel grounded in who I am? Because when you build that life, 2 things happen. 1, you stop chasing people who don't match your values. 2, if you do meet someone, you're not asking them to become your entire emotional ecosystem. That's where relationships get healthier, when they're an addition, not a rescue. Thanks for watching. If you're a gay man and these conversations speak to you, go ahead and hit subscribe. I post new videos every week about the things we go through: love, identity, healing, and everything in between. I'd love to have you be part of this community. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.